I'm here with Arby from Empirical Water, right?
Yeah.
So what does that mean? What do you mean by empirical water?
Uh,
Empirical.
so empirical, it just means that it's based on observation and an
Okay.
experimental approach.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, this goes way back to my blog that I made about tea. It's like an experimental
Okay.
tea blog.
Okay.
Um, and I actually got into coffee before I got into tea, but I kind
Uh-huh.
of had a bit of a detour with tea, and I was
Okay.
very experimental with my approach to that.
Hmm.
And so once I really got back into brewing specialty coffee, I kind of brought that approach with me, and I've applied that approach to the water aspect
Okay.
of brewing specialty coffee as well.
Okay. Okay. So so Arby is here. We are doing the live session here today. Arby is taking a big risk today, by the way. Okay. I commend you for that. So we are going to compare in live session. So I'm going to compare with one of his water is called Glacier. Okay. Actually, this is spring water, by the way. Spring is the same as a glacier, Arby. No, never mind. I got glacier right here. Okay. So this is the glacier water, and I'm gonna compare with my water. Okay. Okay. It's more like a half holy water. All right. So it's a pretty much consistency of magnesium and baking soda. That's very simple. So your water, what's in it?
So do you see on the side of the bottle there on the blue label? It says
Yeah.
the ingredients. So that's listed in order from highest concentration to lowest concentration. So if you
Okay.
read that out, everyone will know exactly what's in it.
Hold on a second. Yeah, I need to put my glasses on. The fonts are pretty small. Hold on. Here we go. So, so Arby's water is a lot more complex than my water. That's for sure. Mine is only magnesium and some baking soda. You know, magnesium is salt, right? This one is a deionized water. Okay, deionized water. What is that? What is
So
deionized water?
deionized water is just one type of water that has zero TDS in it.
Okay.
I prefer to use deionized water because I think it has a little bit better uh, like mouthfeel and aftertaste if you compare it to distilled water.
Okay,
So
because okay, so I'm using the zero TDS water. All right.
okay,
Zero TDS water is I'm using the zero water water pitcher.
oh yeah,
So it's
that
a
is
zero
actually
TD.
deionized.
Okay,
That's
good.
deionized water. Yeah, that's
Okay.
perfect.
So sodium bicarbonate. Sodium bicarbonate is another name for baking soda.
Yeah.
Calcium carbonate as well. You asked me a little bit of calcium. Magnesium sulfate. Magnesium sulfate is what is magnesium sulfate?
Magnesium sulfate is what you're using in holy water.
No, wait, hold on. Magnesium sulfate. That's a
Epsom
Epsom
salt.
salt.
Yeah.
So what is magnesium chloride?
Magnesium chloride is just a different magnesium salt
Okay.
that has an anion, which is chloride
Uh-huh.
instead of
Okay.
sulfate. And the difference between chloride and sulfate is basically, I like to think of it as a modulator of flavor.
Okay.
So chloride is more like clean and smooth in
Okay.
flavor. Sulfate is more about flavor definition, so it's not as clean. And if you use a lot of salt
Okay.
in your water, then you can get some really kind of distinct flavor notes. But
Uh-huh.
at the same time, it also has a little bit more potential to introduce harshness. So I like to use some sulfate in my water and also some chloride because they kind of balance each other out. They're kind of like
Okay.
so I like to use a little bit of each and have a clean and smooth flavor definition, which you want to try to avoid harshness, and you also want to avoid using too much chloride, which would make it bland. So it's really
Okay.
important to use the right balance of the two together.
And also you use a calcium chloride as well, right?
Yeah, and the
Man, so
reason why the reason why you'll see on there that I use
mhm.
magnesium chloride and magnesium sulfate. The magnesium that you get from magnesium sulfate is the exact
Uh-huh.
same as the magnesium that you get from magnesium chloride.
Yep.
The only difference is whether it has sulfate or chloride attached to it. And the reason why I do that is because it by having a variety of mineral salts, I can basically
Yep.
decide the exact ratio of chloride to sulfate that I want. It's just a matter
Got
of
it.
mathematics, like when I'm plugging things into my calculator. If I want like a 2.13 ratio of chloride to sulfate, then I won't be able to do that just by using one salt that has chloride and one salt that has sulfate. Um, it's just a matter of like being able to use the exact right ratios. So
Uh-huh.
being able to swap um, some of one and some of the other allows me to hone in on the exact ratios of first of all calcium to magnesium and also chloride to sulfate.
Arby, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Excellent. All right. Whenever I got cars come in, that's disrupt the live streaming. Anyway, okay. So how long did you spend time to come up with this mixture, this combination?
Um, that one is glacial, right?
Yeah, yeah, glacier. Yeah. How long is how long you?
That's the recipe that I've put almost all of my time into over the years. So in various forms, it has existed going back about 7 years.
Arby, are you there? Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
I just got a call again.
Okay, so yeah, just to repeat, that recipe has existed in various forms going back about
Okay.
7 years. Back when,
7 years.
yeah, back when I first started in specialty
Wow.
coffee and fine tea as well.
Okay.
I was iterating on this recipe and just kept changing it and improving it over the years.
Uh-huh.
Slowly started adding more of the ingredients that you see in
Okay.
on that ingredients list there, and then just continuing to adjust the ratios of the ions and the overall concentration as well.
Wow. So you did spend a lot of time.
Um,
Okay.
in terms
Good.
of like number of hours, it's um, like probably like a few hundred hours of just focused testing and adjust.
Okay. All right. So so I'm gonna be brewing with pretty much half holy water, and then we're gonna brew with glacier water from Empirical water. So I'm very excited to try it out. Okay. So so purpose for this session is it's not about which one is better. Okay. And I want to be hopefully I can tell the difference in these two cups. Okay. It's gonna be same coffee, same grinder size. Only thing difference is the water. Okay. So let's find out. Okay. Let's find out how different from these two waters are. Okay. So what is your favorite water, Arby?
Um, do you mean like between the spring and the glacial water?
Spring, glacier, or silica. Which one is your favorite?
Um, the one that I use most often for myself is
Uh-huh.
the glacial water
Okay.
without silica. And
Oh, okay.
silica does have a benefit. I think
Hmm.
it makes coffee taste sweeter. Uh,
Okay.
but unlike the other minerals in coffee, um, it's kind of like an additive versus
Uh-huh.
like an interactor. I feel like the
Okay.
minerals have more of an interaction with coffee, whereas silica is more just like an additive. So um, whatever flavors and aromas and stuff you get out of your coffee,
Hmm.
silica is not really modulating it. It's really just adding its own kind of layer of sweetness and texture on top of it. So
Okay.
I feel like without silica gets you a better um, kind of like an audiophile's representation of coffee. You want like
Okay.
a balanced EQ, um, and just like play the music as it was recorded, you know. Um,
Got it.
and then once in a while, I'll add silica if I just really want a sweet and textural cup of coffee.
Got it. Okay. So it comes to grinder. I'm using the timer 078, just 070 and not 078S. So this grinder is kind of like made for filter coffee only. Okay. By the way, the timer having a Black Friday special going on right now, so I do have a link down below as well. Man, Black Friday is happening already. Okay, you don't have to wait till next week. It's crazy. Are you planning on doing any Black Friday special for your water, Arby?
At the moment,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anything planned. I might come up with something on the fly,
Okay.
decide to release it,
Okay.
but at the minute, I'm not relying on any kind of discount from for Black Friday.
Okay. Okay. So how's the business been? You been busy?
I think it's about the same as it was like the last time we streamed. Uh,
Okay.
just making a baseline level of income
Okay.
to just
Okay.
getting closer to being able to support myself, which is the goal by the end of the year. Uh,
Got it.
and as I mentioned in the preview, which people weren't here to see, what I'm doing right now is I'm working with local specialty cafes here in Los Angeles, and
Uh-huh.
I have about a dozen cafes that want to stock this. So I'll be
Mm-hmm.
delivering this over the next week, to these cafes. And specifically, this is going to be the brew water that I'm stocking. Um,
Okay.
so that's like that's actually the world's first bottled water specifically made for coffee.
Wow.
So the idea is that customers that walk in, normally they'll
Yeah.
pick up a bag of coffee and then they'll have to go home and they'll just brew it with like whatever water they have available, right? Like that might be
Yep.
tap water or filtered like a Brita water or
Mm-hmm.
maybe something else. Maybe they're using Crystal Geyser or maybe they even have
Sure.
something like third wave water, which is already specifically made for coffee. The idea with this is that you buy the water, you go home, you just brew it. You don't have to like dissolve anything. You don't have to go out and buy distilled water also. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I mean, it's really like uh, the most convenient coffee water product out there.
That's awesome. That's great. So right now I'm brewing two water at the same time. I'm using the V60 today, by the way. Yeah, V60. And George asked me, "What do you sell?" Yes, George. Arby's here to. We are showcasing his water today.
Yeah, water for coffee. Um,
Yeah, water for coffee.
I don't roast coffee. I actually don't know how to roast coffee. I think it's a really interesting, um, field of expertise. But
Yep.
with how complicated water is, I feel like, and with how many good roasters there are out there, I feel like it would be kind of a waste of effort to try to try to offer more coffee to the specialty coffee community, just because there's like so much great coffee. There's so many great roasters out there that all
Yep.
have like their own areas of expertise. So I feel like uh, bringing water to its end game level, like the best
Hmm.
that it can possibly be, I feel like that's the biggest um, like area of like leverage. Like if you had to do one thing to improve specialty coffee for everyone in the community,
Yep.
it would probably just be making the water as good as possible. Just because it's kind of like it's kind of like the ingredient that hasn't been really um, taken to its full potential just yet.
So how long you been playing with the water?
About 7 years, pretty much
Seven.
immediately when I
Okay.
started brewing specialty coffee. Uh,
Uh-huh.
so I started brewing with reverse osmosis water, and then after that,
Yeah.
I tried third wave water, and the difference between those two was so big that I realized that hey, like this is really important, and there's
Hmm.
probably more work to be done in this area. So yeah, as soon as I started with specialty coffee in 2017, um,
Okay.
at the same time I was like already thinking about water and what I could do to do my part to kind of improve it as much as possible.
Wow. Okay, so having said that, so what is your goal for your company? Do you have some kind of like 5-year plan or I mean, because I mean this is not a easy, right? You're competing. We are talking about water. Okay, it's not an easy sell. So do you have some kind of plan for like you looking down, okay, 5 year from now or do you have any long-term plan for your company? I'm curious.
Um, the one thing I want to mention is that I don't necessarily want to bring on like investors. Someone could offer
Uh-huh.
me $1 million for 1% of my company, and I don't know if I would say yes. I don't. I
What?
I don't want to be beholden to investors because
Uh-huh.
suddenly that places um, external pressure to
Okay.
like to essentially hit a revenue goal and be able to
Okay.
maximize like profit or whatever. Like that's not what I'm here to do. I just want
Okay. I got you.
I want to explore
Uh-huh.
water for specialty coffee on my own terms
Okay.
and
Okay. Good.
just do justice to the medium. I think that's what I want to do.
Good for you. Good. All right, here I go. So this is my water right here. Cheers to you, bud.
Cheers.
So let's give it a try. So this is my it's kind of like half a holy water. So I got this recipes from Barista Hustle. Okay, it's nice. It's fine. It's not that special, but pretty smooth. Okay, so now I'm trying out the Arby's water. So this is the big moment. Okay, so what kind of expectation I should have for this? Tell me. So if I'm going to drink this
Uh,
with the glaciers.
I don't want to put words in your mouth. I want you to
Okay.
just
Okay.
enjoy it on your own terms.
Good. Wow, man. Hold on.
Hmm.
You know what? I mean, I wish you guys are here. Some of you. Yeah, I just some of you are here right now. Man, is what a difference. I'm gonna go back to my water. Don't get me wrong, my waters are, it's fine water, but compared to my water, okay. So this water bring out a lot of acidic, you know what I mean? A lot of brightness. It's fine. But so your water, your glacier's water. So imagine all the peaks, right? All the brightness, right? This really bright. So this water, the chapter or the high pitch, kind of smooth things out. To bring out the very nice the brightness, but it's not too bright. Very smooth, very nice mouthfeels to it as well. Give you that very juiciness too. Yeah, man, it's not bad. Yeah, actually, yeah. I mean, it's definitely a huge difference between my water versus your water. I mean, that's the reason why. I mean, I picked this coffee too. Has a nectarine, is tasting note as well, cherry and refreshing. But man, because I have a really hard time dialing in this coffee because I play with a different temperature last few months. You know, play with the different water recipes as well. Because I have holy, I use a holy water, and also I use the third wave water, perfect water. I did it all. Hold on. Yeah, so this one is really kind of like high pitch. Okay, it comes to you are looking at the music, very high pitch, very sharp. Uh, your water make that this very more smooth. I mean, do you get the same feeling whenever you brew with like reverse osmosis and your glaciers? I mean, that's the similar feels do you get, or I mean, so what kind of experience do you get from this coffee, this water?
Um, I think the main thing that you noticed that it's smoother.
Yep,
That
yep,
I
smoother.
that I agree with completely. Um,
Okay.
as far as brightness, that
Yep.
water that you're using there makes
Hmm.
a lot of sense. That it kind of reduces some of the sharpness, some of
Yep.
the brightness. Um, that said, it is actually possible to keep that smoothness and also make it brighter. Um,
Sure.
and that's by mixing the brew water from the concentrate and just
Yep.
using a little bit less buffer than I use in that water. That water that you have there, the glacial
Yep. Uh-huh.
ready-made brew water in the kettle there,
Hmm.
that's the profile. That's the version that I call general coffee and tea. So
Okay.
it's kind of like a default water that is forgiving and will basically brew anything kind of well enough, but it's not
Yep.
necessarily even optimized for light roast coffee. So
Okay.
uh,
So,
if you want to get even more clarity and complexity
yeah. Uh-huh.
out of your light
Hmm.
coffees, then you can actually mix brew water from the concentrates using the
Okay.
recipe that says light roast coffee, and then you'll keep the same amount of smoothness, but you'll also get more brightness out of it.
Okay. So recipes on your website, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Or so you just do that thing here on your phone, correct?
Oh, and we have some quest. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You can scan that, and
Yep.
will take you to the website. So
Good.
there are some questions in the chat that I just wanted to answer really quick.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Will it be available in Europe? So um, it is available in Europe, but I highly recommend um, ordering the minimum order threshold to get free shipping, because then that way you can get the same prices as everyone else. What, by the way, I'm based in the U.S. I'm based in Los Angeles, California. So USA and Canada gets free shipping on all orders that are like the size of one
Hmm.
set of concentrate or higher. And then countries outside of the USA and Canada, um, the order threshold for free shipping is 120 US dollars. So once you hit that threshold, then you get free shipping. And as for duties, I declare an order value of like $10 or something because it's just water, and then you don't have to pay much in the way of duties either.
Got it. Okay. So let me ask you. I know people. I know you make that. What? Every concentration is a 30 milliliter Arby. You're gonna use it for 1 liter. Is that 30 or what's the recipe on this one?
So for the glacial, you're gonna be using 50 milliliters.
That's right, 50. Okay, the 50. So let me ask you. Some people out there. You know what? I mean, I really like the water, but I want to stretch it.
Yeah.
Okay, so instead of using 50 liters, can I use a 50-liter on gallon of water? Do I get I mean, similar results, or even less results, but better than other water? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. So for the hardness, that's the one thing that I suggest not changing. Uh,
Okay.
well, actually, you know what? I feel like if you go over the concentration for the glacial, you can still get a good result. But
Okay.
if you go under, it's not really designed to perform well at low concentration. Uh,
Okay.
like the U.S. Brewers Cup Eastern Regionals winner, first place prize was actually using Empirical Water Glacial Profile, and
Okay.
he won first place using uh, like 15% higher concentration than what you
Higher
brewed.
concentration. Okay.
Yeah, so I think it can work well at a higher concentration, but if you take the recipe as is and you use it at a lower concentration,
Uh-huh.
it might not be as good. So there are
Okay.
instructions so that you can adjust for 1 gallon.
Yep.
So you don't have to like do any guesswork. You just add instead of 50 milliliters, you'll be adding 190
Yep.
for
That's right.
one
Is
gallon.
that what? Yeah. 1 gallon is about 3.78 liter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why. So again, because I know a lot of people out there, you know what? I really like empirical water, but I want to stretch it. Okay, I think I can see that people are doing, they might gonna do, and that's what I do with my third wave water.
Yeah.
Okay, before I use a third wave, half pack of my water, and so my I'm using the half holy water. Half holy water is pretty much nothing, right? Is holy water is pretty much not much anyway. So half holy is, just like pretty boring water if you ask me. But again, I mean, it's definitely your water is different and unique. That's for sure. More smooth.
Yeah, I have heard
Uh,
people stretching third wave water. Um, from what I've heard, they're not stretching it like to save money. They're stretching it because it actually tastes better at a lower concentration.
that's what I heard from some people as well. I mean, for me is yeah, because I go through so much water. That's why. But yeah, some people say they prefer the lower concentration, but the fact is it's not that much either, right? Those half pack versus a pack. We are talking about gallon of water. We're not talking about liter. Okay, so I'm not sure. Okay, but well, let's go. Yeah, Gary said Gary's living in Romania. Okay, part of the which. Okay, do you? Yeah, you don't deliver to uh Romania, right?
I do. I mean, it. Sometimes I like to ask customers if they've had issues with customs in the past. Like if I
Yep.
haven't delivered to a country before, I'll ask them. So I guess the main question is, have you had issues with
Hmm.
customs, like rejecting orders? So I've
Okay.
had that like with Indonesia. It's been difficult to get
Ah.
stuff through customs. Thailand is another place where it's difficult to get products through customs. Um, and as for how much you can make with the yeah, if you
Mhm.
don't have issues with customs, then I can definitely deliver there.
Hey, hey,
Question,
hey, Arby,
yeah.
how hard to instead of getting a full concentrate, how hard to make this drippers instead of all this work, so you can ship it easily, right? So people can, is that possible
Um, that hardness
or no?
concentrate, it can't really be concentrated so much that you would be able to fit it in a little dropper. At
This
that
one,
point,
right?
yeah, at that point, it would pretty much be like a single use. Like one of those droppers would make probably even less than a liter of brew water. So, but one thing I am working on for the future is I
Yeah.
make single dose, um, where you can just like tear open a packet, add it, and then fill up the rest of the way to a liter, um, and just not have to do any measuring. But that's like in the future. Um, so that's just something that I have as a work in progress.
Okay, can you do that with a gallon instead of a liter?
This,
Because if you are selling to American people, what they prefer the gallon over liter, right? Because most bottle are gallon anyway.
yeah,
So is a gallon is possible?
it's definitely possible. It's just going to require a different size of a little mylar
Sure.
packet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, correct.
I am going to accommodate it. And
Good.
there was a question in the chat, which is how much water is made with $120 worth of concentrate. So let me see. Like, let me.
Arby, are you there? Can you hear me, Arby?
Yeah.
There we go. Okay.
Okay, so it looks like it's cutting out when I leave the feed to go check my website.
Yes. Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So what
Hold on. Let me go.
I wanted to.
Let me go to yeah. Let me go to your website.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me go to your website.
I think like as an estimate, you would be able to make like a few hundred cups of coffee with $120 worth of concentrate, especially if it's the glacial profile, which is really the one that's more for like specialty light roast coffee. People have different opinions about that. Some people really prefer spring because it has more texture to it. Um, but for glacial, since it's just like more of the default choice for people, um, you're probably getting like um, I don't know, like 240 cups of coffee out of it, something like that.
Okay. So is that George is asking about what are you gonna get for 120?
Yeah, if you go on the glacial
Okay.
concentrate set,
Yep.
then
For the glacier, yeah, $40 for the glacier concentration set there.
and then if you click on the larger sizes, the
Wow.
then
Got it.
you have like um, enough to get over the order threshold. So if you get like
Got it.
liters of concentrate, then you'll make like 320 cups
Got
of
it.
coffee out of that.
Okay. So so here's the deal, guys. Okay. Uh, it's not cheap. Comes to last thing we worry about, whenever you're making coffee is water, right? We talk about the grinder, we talk about the machines, okay, but sometimes the water is most important things, right? Whenever you make tea or coffee, okay, sometimes we will overlook those, but there's a lot of waters out there. If you buy any machines right now, they give you a water filter, okay, they give you a water filter if you're using tap water. So if you're using distilled water right now, distilled water with soda and Epsom salt, you are already better than tap water. Okay. But once you go on to like water like this, so what Arby's doing is kind of one step farther from like perfect water and third wave water. Okay. He just one step farther, take another step there. So, you know, it's very interesting. Let's put it that way. Okay, let's put it that way. So again, so like Arby, you say you spent years to develop this mix, and are you planning on continuously tweaking it, or what? So are you gonna have this set and keep making, or are you planning on adding more kind of like mixture?
So I don't know if you saw the label on the glacial bottle. It says like
Yep.
version 1.5, like V 1.5.
Yes. Yep. I see that.
So that's referring to the release version.
Okay.
So over time, as I update the recipe, that version number goes up.
Hmm.
So for now, I think that the glacial profile is, at least for my taste, it does exactly what I want it to do for coffee.
Okay.
So I don't see myself changing that. I don't see myself coming out with a version 1.6. But if you check the spring bottle, you'll see it's like 1.1. That one has more room to
Got
refine
it.
it, get better. And then I
Okay.
also I also have a recipe called Snow Melt and a
Okay.
recipe
Snowman.
called Aquifer,
Hmm. Hey,
and
by
those
the way,
are unreleased.
okay, comes to expiration. Okay, this one say, let's see here, May of 23, 25. So usually it lasts pretty long time, right? These waters?
So that expiration date that's written
Uh-huh.
uh, is 6 months after the date of production, the date of
Okay.
that production. So that's the official expiration date.
Okay.
I write that as like a safeguard, just to
Okay.
make people don't keep it for years and years and years. That
Okay.
said, in my own testing,
Uh-huh.
when I was testing, like I would just keep a bottle, and
Yeah.
I was doing other things. I would just like leave it in my closet and then check on it once every few months. I actually kept a bottle for like 14 months
Hmm.
and still smelled and tasted
Okay, good.
and brewed well. Um, at that point, I threw it away because like I felt like 14 months was long enough.
Mhm.
But as for the expiration, I just write 6 months, just for the heck of it, I guess.
And so let me ask you, because I think I can see the powder format is much more popular than actual these bottles, right? This is shipping costs and all that stuff. And how realistic to get the powder going?
Impossible.
Oh, impossible. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't dissolve if you add it as a powder. That's why it's so expensive because I have to do so much work to dissolve it myself, and then spend so much to ship it, and costs add up.
You know what? Yeah, that's right. Because I know some packaged, one of those water mixed. I'm not gonna say the name, but yeah. So whenever I mix it, yeah, I can see the white stuff on the bottom as well. So it's not quite perfect. Yeah, it's not quite perfect there, man. So so that is impossible, like you say, impossible to come up with this concentration with the one pack add it to your gallon of water, and then maybe mix with some a little bit of buffer. So you
Um,
are saying is that's not possible?
yeah. The main thing that you noticed, which was the smoothness, that is
Yes.
caused
Yep.
by calcium carbonate, which
Okay.
the mineral in the water that isn't soluble. Um,
Ah.
so I have to carbonate my water, add the calcium carbonate with the other mineral,
Okay.
agitate it over a couple of days,
Couple
and
of days.
yeah, after that's done, I release the pressure from my pressurized keg,
Hmm.
and then, I use an electric mixer to decarbonate, which is like to release all the soda, the CO2.
Yeah. Yep.
And then at that point, it's flat water. Then I can bottle that and send it.
Goodness. Okay. So that's a lot of work to it,
Yeah.
man. Okay. So that's too bad. I mean, yeah. I mean, but if you're joining us, I'm talking to Arby from Empirical Water. We just did some comparison with my holy water versus his water. There's a huge difference in taste and texture. Okay, but I think I can see why. All right. Yeah. Okay. Hold on a second.
Yeah,
Okay.
there are.
So hold on. The Carbon say, okay. Hun doesn't want to say which powder because he doesn't want. No, Lance does not have powder. Okay, it's not the powder. Lance used the lotus water. Lance used the dropper. Okay, yeah, I'm not talking about Lance. Hey, by the way, so how Lance does with uh his dropper?
Sorry, what was the question?
Lance, he worked with the lotus water.
Yeah.
They use a dropper like this, right? So
Yeah.
what's the difference between that types of water versus your water?
So if I wasn't using calcium carbonate, I would
Okay,
still be able to dissolve other forms of hardness. For example, magnesium sulfate, uh,
okay,
magnesium chloride. Magnesium chloride is actually used in lotus water, and so is calcium chloride. So lotus water is like single salt solutions. Um,
okay.
so they have a dropper that's magnesium chloride, one that's
Yeah,
calcium chloride, one that's potassium bicarbonate, and one that's
yep.
sodium carbonate. So those are designed so that they can upload their own recipes and then have the customers basically use the different droppers to
Yeah.
create that recipe. But there's no calcium carbonate in it. So if you compare that to this, you're pretty much going to notice the same thing, with regard to the smoothness that you did with
Uh,
holy
yep.
water.
Okay. So that is the difference, isn't it? So
So like
it's a
everything else, you can concentrate it more, like calcium
yeah.
chloride. Concentrate that a lot. You
Mhm.
just can't concentrate calcium carbonate, which is what I use.
Calcium carbonate. So that is your kind of like
Star
kind of like,
ingredient.
yeah, exactly the main star of your water. So there's no get around that, right? You cannot make that powder. Yeah, there's no get around it.
So there's a question if uh sorry
It's
oh
okay.
freeze it.
Yeah,
Can,
George say yeah.
I I don't think that you can freeze it.
Okay.
I tested this myself,
Uh-huh.
but especially like with the glass bottles that it comes in, if you freeze it, I mean the bottle will definitely break. I
Yeah.
guess if you empty it into a different container and freeze it,
Hmm.
you won't have that problem. But I would hesitate to recommend that still because I think that calcium carbonate might not be stable in a frozen, in frozen water. I think it might
Okay.
precipitate when you melt it again.
Okay. So people ask, what is a calcium carbonate?
Yeah. Calcium carbonate is just another source of calcium. The only
Okay.
difference is that it doesn't have chloride or sulfate attached to it, or
Okay.
citrate. Citrate is what you find in third wave water, and that's why people mention that it can taste slightly citrusy. That's just the
Hmm.
taste of citrate. Um, as for chloride and sulfate, I think I mentioned that a little, like way in the beginning of the stream.
Hmm.
Um, I do like to use some chloride and sulfate in my water,
Sure.
but the role of the role of calcium carbonate is getting some calcium content in the water without relying fully on the chloride
Okay.
forms. So when you reduce the amount of chloride and sulfate
Hmm.
both down to a lower level, you get the benefits of chloride, which is like clean and smooth, modulation of flavor, and you also get the benefit of sulfate, um, which is flavor definition. But when you reduce the overall amount to a more reasonable level,
Hmm.
you get then you allow the calcium to shine because calcium is like the uh,
Yeah,
main thing that brings out flavor. So
exactly. The brightness and all. Yeah.
yeah, so
So
you just want to keep chloride and sulfate to a lower level, um, just to get that more of a smooth texture and just more focus on a pure,
yeah.
um, like pure enjoyable flavor characteristics.
Okay. So Arby, is there a machine to mix calcium chloride?
Calcium chloride, or do you mean calcium carbonate?
Calcium carbonate so you can mix it. Is there a machine? I know obviously you're using the machine. Is there like some small machine to people can purchase that or at
Uh,
home?
there is actually such thing as a calcium reactor, which
Okay.
uses crushed coral, which is
Hmm.
a source of calcium carbonate. And what that does is it's like a filter, except it
Okay.
instead of filtering, it adds. So if you have like really really soft water and
Uh-huh.
you want to add a source of calcium that is going to be nice and smooth like calcium carbonate, then you could hook up a calcium reactor, which is really just like a canister that has calcium inside it, and
Okay.
water flows through that. And when it comes out, um, just simply through contacting the calcium carbonate, it's going to pick up a small amount of calcium carbonate from that because it's insoluble in water. So you can only get a little bit of calcium carbonate out of that, like just enough to make an impact, uh,
Huh.
the brew water
Okay. So which system you have at home again? You're using what
at
to
home.
mix it? Yeah.
At, so
I
at
mean,
home,
so your lab there, your manufacturing facility. So which machine to you can mix that? Some kind of
what I do is I start with deionized water, like so
yep,
that's tap water, like
yep.
municipal
Hmm.
water that through reverse osmosis and then
Hmm.
a deionization step. Once I have that fully pure water, then
Okay.
I add that into my keg, which is like
Your
the
keg. Okay.
keg. Yeah, you use it for like beer brewing and,
Yep.
and stuff
Hmm.
like that. So it's the same type of keg. You just add water and calcium carbonate and whatever other
Calcium carbonate.
you want, and then you carbonate that. It's actually called force carbonation, and
Okay.
it's a process that you would use to force carbonate beer.
Yeah.
And so you agitate that, you get everything fully mixed around, and once it's like for in my case, I like to pressurize very high just to make absolutely certain that it's all dissolved.
Okay. Okay.
Um, that's like 120 psi, which is like the maximum that my keg
Okay.
will hold. And once it's at maximum carbonation, then I just give it a couple days. Agitate it every few hours or so.
Hmm.
Um, because if you don't fully dissolve it, if there's even a little bit of calcium carbonate that is just like floating around in there and it's not
Hmm.
dissolved, then from my experience, I find it just completely dulls the flavor. It's like imagine if you just add plain like chalk to your without it even dissolving, like it will make everything taste bland and it's not good.
Okay.
So half the battle is just making sure that the calcium carbonate is fully dissolved, so that when you look at it up to a light and compare it to another bottle of just pure water, it should look exactly the same, like fully
Yeah.
dissolved.
Got it. Wow. There's a lot of steps involved. A lot of steps. So that's why I think that's the people are watching. That's the reason why his waters are more expensive than other waters. That's for sure. Okay.
So
Is
there's another question: which is better, chloride or carbonate? Um, so I'm gonna say neither because they're both really important in
mm,
coffee. So if you were to take out chloride from empirical water, then you wouldn't necessarily get that same level of smoothness
Yeah.
because all of that sulfate content is going unchecked. So
Hmm.
sulfate and chloride are like counters, and they both need to be present in water to balance each other out.
Okay.
So yeah, they're both really, really important.
Okay. And the George said, any benefit with the cooking with this? No, George, come on. It's gonna be very expensive cooking. That's for sure. Okay. Yeah.
Uh, there's definitely culinary uses for mineral water. However, since I'm not a professional chef or
Yeah.
accomplished cook of any
Hmm.
kind, I can't get into specifics, but I will say I know for a fact that um, that mineral content does have an effect. It does have
Hmm.
an effect in culinary context. I just don't know the specifics of what would be the ideal water
Yeah.
um, for a culinary context, and also it might be different depending on like what you're cooking and how you're cooking it. But yeah,
Uh,
there's definitely an effect. I just don't know the specifics.
hey, sounds good. Hey, again, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon here. Man, what a treat. Okay. Can I use that for my machine? Is that possible?
So the glacial water is suitable for espresso with the
Okay.
one caveat, which is I recommend descaling the machine once every 1,000 or so shots that you're gonna pull. Like if
Okay.
this espresso machine, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
So again, yeah, 1,000 is a lot of shots though.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
every
The
couple of
well scaled
years.
water.
Yeah. Wow. But you get again, I mean, I don't I mean, if you think about doing that for espresso, my recommendation is don't because with espresso you're gonna waste water, okay? Between shots, you're gonna flush it. Yeah. I mean, this is like gold, okay? So make sure savor it. All right.
People
So just
people do use it for espresso. I will say that.
sure.
Yeah,
I know, I
they
mean,
say it's
goodness.
not so.
And some people has, like George has a boatload of money, sounds like. So yeah. I think he's George should be fine, but some people like most people out there just use that for your special coffee. If you are getting really fancy coffee once in a while, okay, use the special water for that. That's for sure. Okay, that's for sure. Hey, Arby, thank you. All right. So I'm gonna talk to you soon again. Okay, I got some. I want to try different water as well. I'm gonna have you on next time. We can
Awesome.
talk more water science. All right. Talk to
Cool.
you soon.
I'm
Okay.
I'm glad you liked it so far. It's
Good.
always nice to get that live reaction. It's really my favorite thing, to see your first impressions on stream. So thanks for having me on here.
I know. I mean, because again, I was surprised by these results because that's the what I was looking for. Because if it was a slightly difference, I say okay, it's fine, okay. But I'm glad you are taking a risk, coming on the live streaming as well. I mean, that's the risk you're gonna take, right? But yeah, there was enough difference. I can safely say, hey, definitely unique. Okay, definitely. I mean, if you haven't tried his water, okay, I know it is a bit pricey, but if you have really fancy coffee at home, I mean, if you don't mind supporting Arby, just give it a try. Okay, just give it a try this
Oh,
once.
I just wanted to mention
Yeah, go ahead.
that bundle that includes both the concentrates and the brew water.
Yep,
It's called the
exactly.
Pure Water Bundle.
Yep.
Comes with a password where if you use the password on your next order, uh,
Okay.
you can double your order up to a value of $175.
Okay.
So
Good.
you order up if you really like the water and want more, then you can order up to $175 of water, and I'll send you double whatever you order.
Perfect. Good. Yeah. Make sure you've got about 30 people watching right now, so make sure to take advantage of his water. All right, buddy. I'm gonna talk to you soon. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye bye. So that's the RD from Empirical Water. I hope you guys having a great afternoon, and I'm gonna see you guys later.